I've been living in Moscow for half my life now, in fact, almost my entire adult life. And I'm regularly asked by people who've never been here, what's Moscow like? You know, the only thing they know is what they've seen on TV, read in the international media. It's never positive. The only thing they hear is the negative side of Moscow. Let's face it, no journalist ever comes to Moscow with even the remotest intention of seeing a positive angle on this place. So, over the next few minutes, I'm here to show you what Moscow's really like. Okay, so please join me to see my Moscow. My name's Luc Jones. Welcome to The Other Way. Over here in the background is the Church of Christ the Saviour. When I came to Moscow as a student in 1993, that was a swimming pool. It was originally built back in the 19th century. Stalin had it blown up in 1932, but now, thanks to a lovely Mr. Yeltsin, it's been restored to its former glory. And down below is the Moscow River. Make your life easier, why bother with a different name? Here we are, just a few meters away from the Kremlin and from Red Square, at the start of Tverskaya Street, here on the right. Tverskaya Street will take you all the way to St. Petersburg, more than 600 kilometers away, long walk, but Moscow is very unlike most other cities which are pre-planned with a crisscross of streets. Moscow is much more like a big spider's web, with the Kremlin in the middle and all roads leading out from there. Here we have the Duma, the Russian parliament. Now, back in the early 90s, when I first came to Moscow, the word on everybody's lips was the Russian mafia. A lot of this was sensationalized by the international media, made for some great stories. However, the reality was it was a lot less fascinating than, say, the Sicilian mafia. The Russian mafia is largely something of the past. It's been pretty much cleaned up, swept away by Mr. Putin, although cynics would say that the Russian mafia now sit inside that parliament. Here, as a backdrop to the Kremlin, we have one of the most poignant parts of Moscow. This is the Eternal Flame here, which is being permanently guarded. World War II was a pretty somber event for the Soviet Union, which lost a reported 27 million citizens. So as you can imagine, this is a big deal. Every town and city will have a war memorial, an eternal flame of some description. The Soviet Union didn't enter the war until 1941, but the losses were horrendous. And this is something that lives long in the memory. Here we have the hero cities, the 13 key cities that stood up against the Nazi invasion and finally resulted in victory. Окей. Да. Мы сейчас еще чуть поближе. Пожалуйста. О, давай вы первый, потому что...
Настраивайтесь пока.
Загадывай желание.
А что, надо желание загадывать?
Да.
Я тоже туда встану.
Давайте вы...
Я тоже хочу желание. Давай. Вставай, загадывай желание, что хочешь.
Here we are. This is the very central point of Moscow, the 0-kilometer spot. Everything begins here. All roads leading out of Moscow start from this point. Now, let's go on to Red Square. This is GUM, the most famous department store in Moscow. It's been here for over 100 years. When I came to the Soviet Union back in early 1991, we decided to pay a visit, and there was virtually nothing worth buying. The shelves were empty, and it really summed up the state of the country at the time. Now, this is a place transformed. Let's go and have a look inside at what it has to offer. Wow. now. Here you are. This is not only a department store transformed, this is a country transformed, but it's best noticed here. Everything's available at a price. This is the famous Nicolesky Street. Only 2 years ago, this street was completely overrun during the 3 weeks that the World Cup saw the most football fans here, particularly from Latin America. It was an unbelievable scene. Russia had obviously never witnessed anything like it before. Okay? At the moment, it's just got a few Sunday walkers, but at the time, it was packed full of singing fans. Now, the World Cup was an amazing spectacle here, not just because England reached the semi-finals, but because nobody expected Russia to be able to put on such a show. The international media, particularly from the UK, went into hysteria overdrive. For months, we were seeing reports, do not come to Russia, you will be attacked. I had numerous journalists call me saying, when are we going to be attacked? The first hour or the second hour? By who first? The Russian fans or the Russian police? Are they going to be waiting for us at the airport? And of course I said, guys, it's going to be fine. It's going to be great, friendly and well organized. That didn't make a good story, so most ignored it. Very few fans came out here in the initial games, which was a real shame. Down in Volgograd at the first game, we had journalists from the English press coming up to us saying, where is everybody? And of course we responded by saying, guys, you've just spent the last 6 months saying don't come to Russia, and now you're surprised there's no one here. What did you expect? Fortunately, with the use of social media, we found that stories started to make their way back to England that, hey, it's friendly, it's well organized, it's great. So fans began to trickle out, and towards the end, many England supporters were actually quite angry and said, look, our media lied to us. And of course the Russian response from fans was, why do you believe your own media? We don't. So here you are, guys. Let's take a walk down Nicolesky Street, and there's a little surprise when we get to the end. Just as I promised you, little surprise at the end of Nicolesky Street. This building over here is the Lubyanka. It was the most feared place in the Soviet Union. It was one area you really didn't want to end up in, because this is where you would have been tried before you were sent off to a gulag. And good luck trying to rest your case on this one. Now, it just functions as an ordinary building for civil servants. There was once a massive statue of Felix Dzerzhinsky, the Polish communist who founded the KGB back in the day. Now, it's just an ordinary square. But even the name of the metro station nearby, which was called Dzerzhinskaya, has changed, and it's Lubyanka, just to make your lives easier. This is Tretyakovsky Proyezd, probably the one place with all the boutiques where the real big money is to be found in Moscow. If you have to ask the price, you can't afford it. Try and find a price tag in any of these places. But you can walk along here and you can dream. Moscow isn't known as being the city of millionaires for nothing. There are more here than any other city in the world, and it shows. Moscow is known as a city of contrasts. Over here, we have Karl Marx, complete with a pigeon on his head. What's he looking at? Directly in front of him is Tsum, one of the most expensive department stores in Moscow. Not sure whether he'd be turning in his grave or wondering what he's going to buy from the new collection. But anyway, that just shows where we are today in Moscow. And then to the left we have the Bolshoi Theatre. Well worth going if you're that way inclined. Been a couple of times in the 90s. Take your relatives there when you're in town. Moscow is well known for its traffic jams, so one of the best ways of avoiding them is taking the metro. The Moscow Metro is not one of the biggest in the world, but it's got to be amongst the most beautiful. Let's go and check it out. Here we are in Kalomenskaya, one of the oldest parks in Moscow. Get a lovely view of the Moscow River and the Moscow skyline with all the high-rises. But hard to believe we're in the middle of the largest city in Europe, and it's a UNESCO-listed park. There's one of 3 UNESCO heritage sites here in the middle of Moscow, and beautiful churches, and obviously it's a very popular place for Russians to come and take a walk around, especially in summer in this gorgeous weather. We're going to take you down and see where we can have a drink. Say hi.
Hi.
Okay, here comes the best part of the day. This is what we're going to be ordering next. Stand by. Здравствуйте.
Здравствуйте.
Можно мне Guliovskaya 0,5, пожалуйста?
Хорошо.
When I was a student in Russia back in 1993-94, there was a joke that there were 2 sorts of beer. Either the bar has beer or they don't have any beer. And the only one on sale was this one here called Guliovskaya. And we're convinced that this was the only one on sale just so that we wouldn't be able to pronounce it. But anyway, let's have a quick taste. It's got a lot better. Anastasia is going to very kindly pour us a Guliovskaya. And it tastes pretty good. Back in the day...
Я, видимо, вместо кваса пиво взял, да?
Да.
Ah, это мне, да?
Да, да.
Okay. Oh, here's one I made earlier. Cheers. It's pretty good, especially on a hot day like this. Anyway, I'd love you to come over here, come either to Kalomensky Park or somewhere else in Moscow. Give the Guliovskaya a try for yourself. You won't be disappointed. Спасибо, Анастасия. Всего доброго, хорошего дня. Well, this brings us to the end of our first tour here in Kalomensky Park. Hope you've enjoyed watching, and maybe this will entice you out to Moscow at some stage in the future. If you've enjoyed it, please like, share, comment. I'd love to hear from you. Love you to come and visit us here in Moscow. So in the meantime, до свидания. I'm off to the next pub.